Hello and welcome to today's video. So about 2 years ago I started filming my YouTube videos, and two of the very earliest videos that I shot were looking at my original Star Trek book collection. Now since then I've got much better lighting and cameras and microphone, and I feel I could do so much better a job of it now than I did a couple of years ago, and I think we'll go into it in a lot more detail than we did last time around as well. So this time I'm going to just look at the Star Trek Fotonovels, which I think are a fantastic part of Star Trek book history, and I still absolutely love them to this day. They've got a real charm about them. So that is what we're going to be having a look at today in lots of detail. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so the first photo novel is this one, and well, to be honest, they couldn't have come up with a better title to launch the series, because it's definitely one of my top 5 all-time favourite Star Trek episodes, and that's The City on the Edge of Forever by Harlan Ellison. Absolutely fantastic. Now this is, unlike most of my Star Trek books, this is actually the UK edition, which was published by Corgi. The rest of mine are Bantam ones, which is the US first printings, but I've not been able to get a nice copy of the American first printing, so I've settled for this one, which would have been the one that I had all the way back in 1977. So these are numbered on the spine. You can see there, City on the Edge of Forever with the number 1. And on the back here, we've got a UK price of 85p. The normal US dollar price, I believe, was $1.25 or $1.95 in actual fact, so quite expensive for their day. And I really like the way that these have been put together, and just fantastic. So first of all, just a little brief synopsis, as you would expect, and they do just list the very next one, which is Where No Man Has Gone Before. Full credit to the writers. And then I really like this introduction here. So, dear reader, after more than 2 years in preparation, Mandala Productions is both pleased and proud to present to you our first ever photonovel, a revolutionary approach to publishing in the United States. Our purpose from the beginning was to create a whole new concept, accurate and faithful recreations of your favourite television programmes and movies. But most innovative ideas are left just that, ideas, and ours might have been met the same fate had it not been for the support of the people from Paramount Pictures and Bantam Books. Their vast experience and belief in this new approach is in no small way responsible for our bringing to you this photonovel, our first of many. We thank them most sincerely and invite you now to enter the world of Star Trek. Have a pleasant journey, Mandala Productions. So just a little bit of a history there about, how these came to be. You have to remember that back in 1977, the only way that you could watch Star Trek was, if you're in the UK, it was being shown on BBC One, and they did the occasional repeat, and then in syndication in the States, but that was very haphazard. There was no home video at this point, at least not mass market, so it was the books which was all the rage, and that was the way that you could sort of recreate and enjoy your favourite shows. So I particularly like the way that, apart from the introduction there, we've then got an interview with Harlan Ellison, which is incredibly cool. It's done by Sandra Coulson, and they've tracked down, 10 years later, the original writer. Obviously Harlan Ellison was still writing other science fiction at the time, but they've gone to the trouble of tracking him down, interviewing him, and reprinting that interview prior to the story starting in the book. I think that's really cool, even though it's only just a couple of pages. I think that's excellent. The next thing is it's got the full cast list, which is also a really cool idea. I saw the later Star Wars books would do this, but it's got not just the cast, but also the actors who play the particular character. Obviously the big guest star in this one was Joan Collins, but even the guard there gets his credit, and the policeman. Pretty cool stuff. And then we're actually into the episode itself. So you can almost hear the music playing in the background, even though you're just reading a book. And then it's pretty much the entire script. If there's anything there which wasn't obvious, it's explained in little text boxes, much the same as reading a comic. The actual text itself is a little bit blocky. It would have been nice if that was, it's like got quite high. It would have been nice if they were actual speech balloons rather than speech blocks, as it were. But it's unclear whether these are actually taken just from screen caps, where they've had the original print and they've just taken really high quality screen caps, or if they've if it was like on set photos and they just recorded it at the time. My guess is these are probably straight from the screen, because they're not quite that sharp. There's a little element of graininess in there, and that's possibly because it's from the original sort of prints. But there we are, and they tell the entire sort of story. I'm sure you know that very, very well. It's absolutely fantastic, fantastic. Easily one of my favourites of them all. And then when the story actually gets wrapped up at the end here, there we are, that's the last page. That's not it, because it still carries on. It's got more to give. So first of all, there's a glossary. So this is going through all the different terms that you might have come across during the story, which you might not be familiar with. Little thing about Vulcans, the Vulcan nerve pinch, tricorders, phasers, which is really good. So it's sort of handy if you didn't know about that. Then there's a quiz. So it's a 2-page quiz on the episode that you've just read about, which is also pretty good. It's multiple choice. And that's also, adding a little bit of fun to it. Then you've got the answer to the quiz, plus a teaser for the next one, Where No Man Has Gone Before, which of course was the reworking of the original pilot. And then the answers to the quiz down there before. So how cool is that? And you got to wish. And then the very final bit at the back here is, of course, listing all the other Bantam books that were in print at that time. So there was the James Blish 1 to 11 plus Spock Must Die standalone novel, and then you had a few other books that were out at that point. Obviously, this was about to go mega, and Star Trek was big business for Bantam, and then a few years later, Pocket. And this says the offer expires October 1978. How cool is that? And what a way to launch the series of what would be 12 books in this line. What a shame they didn't do every single episode, because they're just that good. But I guess there was a lot of work put into that, and I guess for a little while they sold like absolute hotcakes. So that was book 1 anyway. So book number 2 then is the aforementioned Where No Man Has Gone Before. This is book 2. This is an original Bantam edition, although it was distributed in the UK, because you can see the little stamped 85 pence on there, but it is actually the US printing of this one. Still only mentions the first book in the series, so this is the original first printing from November 1977. So this one here, a different sort of introduction now, by Shelley Katz. As a writer and avid Star Trek fan, it was with great trepidation that I opened the cover of your first Star Trek novel. Would this be just another cheap rip-off? What would you do to ruin the memory of my favourite characters? Why didn't everyone just leave what was once a great TV show alone? And then she says that she really loved that first book. Currently working on a major screenplay for Paramount Pictures. I wonder what that was. Anyway, she did the introduction, and then we got the traditional cast list again, which is cool. And then into the story again. So same format as last time. The full story, and then we've got the little quiz. So there's no interview with the author this time, sadly, but we do have the quiz, the glossary first of all, rather, which would be handy just in case. And then you've got your quiz. See if you were paying attention. Then the teaser for the next one, which was number 3, The Trouble with Tribbles, another classic. And the answers, and then the order form there. So cool. Yeah, so they've basically hit the format already, and this is how it would continue. So the third one that they came up with was Trouble with Tribbles, another absolute favourite of mine in my top 5 classic Star Treks. Great stuff. This is a US one. There's no sort of British price anywhere on that one. And I do remember at the time that these got remaindered in the late 70s, and you could find them everywhere quite cheaply. There we are. So, A Conversation with Scotty, this one by Carl Eagle. And this is an interview with James Doohan, which is quite nice, isn't it? More about James Doohan and the conventions in our next book. So you don't exactly get a lot of in-depth coverage for your money there. One page, basically. But hey-ho. Cast list again with some of the bigger guest stars. Cyrano Jones there. Stanley Adams. Oh, it's just such a great one. And there we are, into the normal episode. And of course, it wasn't just Star Trek that were doing this. These were certainly the longest series of books which had photonovels, but there were other novels and movies done around this time. And I have already done a little video on photonovels, which I'll link to now because it's definitely worth a look. That was always the slightly embarrassing thing with these photonovels, and that when the cast were laughing at the end, ha ha, hee hee, ha ha, hoo. It's awful, but I guess there was no other way to do it, was there? But then we've got once again the glossary. Look at that. So, what was the definition of a tribble? Extremely affectionate oval creatures measuring approximately 3 to 7 inches in length, capable of reproducing every 12 hours. Then we got our quiz for number 3, book 3. Then the teaser of book number 4, A Taste of Armageddon. Oh, brilliant. I mean, really, how cool are these? It's just so difficult to comprehend now. You think that the books are just a joke, you just stick the episode on, but that just wasn't possible back, over 40 years ago now. You just couldn't do that. And this was a way to relive your favourite episodes. And that's exactly what I did when I was a kid. And I absolutely pored over these. I read them back to back, cover to cover, and absolutely loved them to death. So book number 4 here. This is a slightly tanned copy, but it was obviously distributed in Britain because it's got £1.25 embossed on the back there. Little write-up at the start. Listing the first 3, written by Robert Hamner and Jean L. Kuhn. This is the continued interview with Jimmy Doohan from the last volume. And that concludes it. So that must have been done in all of 10 minutes, let's be honest. There's our cast. And then into the episode. So this familiar format that you're used to. Really nice bright bold colours on these, which is just what makes the series so fantastic to begin with, isn't it? And we've got our glossary, just in case there was bits that you didn't know about, and the quiz, then the teaser for Metamorphosis number 5 coming soon. A few little additions to the back catalogue now, with the offer expiring January 1980. So that was book number 4. So book 5 then, Metamorphosis. Another mind-bending Star Trek episode from the great TV series. Here we are, number 5. And I have to admit, the episode selection was very, very good. They've certainly got probably 4 of my favourite 5 or 6 Star Trek episodes included in the series. So this one's published February 1978. And this was in those barren years, when the animated series had finished and there was talk of a movie, but nothing had really happened. Star Wars was very, very much popular, and that was all the rage, wasn't it? Star Trek was probably feeling a little bit left out. So it was great to see these carrying on. So this one's got an interview with Eleanor Donahue, and she played Nancy Hedford in this particular episode, which is pretty cool, isn't it? Best known for her role as Betty in Father Knows Best. So that's really nice, isn't it? That they've tracked down that actress and got her to do a little bit of an interview. There we are, and then we've got the glossary again, becoming pretty standard now, isn't it? And the quiz, the glossary and the quiz, and then the teaser for All Our Yesterdays. It's looking a bit trippy, isn't it? The next Star Trek photo novel, All Our Yesterdays. Brilliant stuff there. So that was number 5, Metamorphosis. Number 6 then is All Our Yesterdays. Great stuff. There's a nice copy of this one. 95p. This was imported again. It's not one of my favourite stories, but still it's okay. In conversation with Zarabeth. And she was in All Our Yesterdays. It's, well, I'm looking for her in the cast list here. Here we are. So it's Mariette Hartley played Zarabeth. So that's quite nice again that they've tracked down one of the supporting actors for a little interview. And this one here, that Kelsey played 3 characters, so he's got 3 credits. It is still a good one, this. Not my favourite, but it's still a good one. Really memorable, you know. Good stuff. Then we got our little glossary. And then the next one, number 7, accurately named for the Galileo 7. Which was another great one. Really enjoyable, that. I guess they really have, there's a list of all the photo novels there at the back up to that point. They really have chosen like Star Trek's greatest hits, haven't they? I mean, it would have been lovely to have done them all, but they have chosen the very sort of creme de la creme of classic Star Trek. So here is number 7, the Galileo 7. Which I always remember absolutely loving at the time. Now, something a little bit different now. So it says, this is from Mandala Productions. So, dear readers, we are extremely pleased that so many of you have bothered to write and tell us how much you're enjoying the Star Trek photo novels. On the next few pages, you will find some representative letters. Though each of your comments are unique, we do find one question cropping up quite often. How many Star Trek photo novels do you plan to publish? The answer to that question is wholly dependent on you, our readers. As long as the books continue to sell, we will be pleased to continue publishing them. We welcome your comments, suggestions and questions. Well, sadly, the series did only run to 12, but as I said, it would have been really nice to have it. Now, this is interesting. So it says, dear sirs, I've just acquired copies of Star Trek Photo Novels 1 and 2. Hurrah! These books are almost as good as having videotapes. No longer do I need to attempt photographing from my TV set. Please do all 79 episodes. Yes, well, I would have loved them to have done the whole lot. It just would have been phenomenal. What a series that would have been to collect to this day. I bet they would have been mega popular. But, you know, the world of books is quite harsh, and I guess, you know, they couldn't keep everything in print. And 12, I suppose, was still a good effort. So quite nice that they did a bit of reader feedback, as it were, since I guess the books were coming out one or two per month. But good stuff. There's your normal cast, and then we're into the episode itself. Great stuff. Stranded Galileo shuttle. Then at the end here, no doubt in traditional style, we've got our glossary and well, look, we don't get a quiz this time. So they've stopped doing the quiz. That's interesting. But we have got the glossary. Then we got the preview for the next one, a piece of the action. And there we are. That's interesting that they didn't do the quiz. I wonder if it comes back later on. So number 8 in a piece of the action. I guess this was really easy because the sets were already built, weren't they, on the Paramount lot. We're looking at June 1978 now. So what's this? From the Office of the President of Sigma Iota 2. Dear Mandala, I just had a look at your photo novel about what happened up here on Sigma Iota 2 with your fake little dear. Here we are. Yeah, I don't mind this one. I loved it as a kid, but now it's just sort of okay. You know how it is. So we've got our glossary again. Now I seem to remember this one does have a quiz, does it? The books are so tight, they're difficult to read. Here we are. So this one does get a quiz. So it says Star Trek quiz number 8, but we didn't get one for number 7. Maybe because they have the sort of the reader's letters in that one. And next week, or the next book is Devil in the Dark. Good stuff. That was a piece of the action, number 8. So number 9 then, yeah, The Devil in the Dark. Do you remember that one with the Horta? And Spock Mimels and that classic line from Bones. He says, "God damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer." Just one of the best ones ever. Just so good, this one. Dear readers, as ever, we're eager to hear from you in the form of letters. So encouraging once again the readers to write to Mandala Productions. And this is a letter to Mandala from Rosemary Rawlinson from Oxford, just basically praising the series. Yeah, a few more readers' letters there. Then we've got our cast list, just the one page of cast on that one because of the extended letters section. And here we are. Here's the story itself. No doubt that classic line is in there somewhere. Good story, that one. Devil in the Dark. Then we got our glossary. Thermoconcrete. Then we got a Devil in the Dark quiz. Then a double page teaser for the next one, which was Day of the Dove with the Klingons. So number 10 then is Day of the Dove. Now I'm not sure if you can see on my copy, but it's lacking the sort of the cover sheen. This is exactly how I bought it back in the day. Got the little 95p on there, but yeah, it's not got a glossy cover like the rest of them, which is a little bit weird. But this was book number 9. Now it's got an interview with Michael and Sarah inside. Now he was in this one. Yeah, he played the Klingon Kang. And you get the start of the interview at the front there. Then you've got the normal sort of episode, as we come to expect. And then at the end, we've got our glossary and the rest of the interview there. So once again, a really nice way to continue keeping the interest up. And then we've got our quiz. And then a 2-page teaser for another real classic episode, The Deadly Years. Which is good stuff. Then book number 11 is The Deadly Years, another one of my favourites for sure. A little English 95p in gold there on the back. This is of course the one where they all grow old. So the introduction to this one is basically letters to Mandala again. There's the cast, and quite nice that they've taken photos of the cast as they were older, which is really good. The aged version of them, which I think is brilliant. There they are. Wow, they did a good job on the makeup, didn't they? They really did. Spock, of course, hardly changing a bit. Then we've got the glossary. Now, what's this? Attention, Star Trek fans. Lincoln Enterprises will send you a free catalogue of their authentic Star Trek materials that they sell. Scripts, film clips, photos, and other educational and fun items. Lincoln Enterprises. So wasn't that something which Roddenberry himself was tied into? I seem to recall. Then we've got our quiz for book 11. And the teaser for Amok Time, the final one. Yeah, great stuff. So here is the last one in this series, which was Amok Time. Good stuff. I just feel that they could have easily done more, can't you? So this one's got a little introduction to Mandela staff from DeForest Kelley, which is quite nice, isn't it? It has been an extraordinary experience being a part of a show that's touched the lives of so many people in so many ways, and therefore it is personally gratifying that you have chosen Star Trek to launch your new series of photo novels. Best of luck in the future. It probably took him 6 months to get around to writing that, because the series had been out for a year by then. Anyway, there's the usual story, which is cool. And we've got our glossary. Then there's another little advert for Lincoln Enterprises. You must be looking at these thinking, oh, they're doing well there. And then they've sort of mucked up there. It's not Star Trek Quiz number 8. It's Star Trek Quiz for number 12, but actually it was the 11th time they did a quiz. So they made a bit of a mistake there, a bit of a boo-boo. And look, they'd obviously decided, because there's no trailer, there's no book 13. That's it. You've had your lot. But that wasn't quite the end of the photo novel story, because by this time, Star Trek, the motion picture, had come along and was just about to go big, 79-80. And they actually, it's moved to pocketbooks now, not Bantam. So pocketbooks by this time were publishing the Star Trek books big time. And they were already off to a massive success with it. And even though, by this time, although early, you could still get home video, they still decided to do not a photo novel, a photo story of the first Star Trek film. And they've done a really good job with it. The only thing I would say is, if anything, it could have been a bit thicker and the pictures a bit bigger, But this was April 1980. And this is really good. I mean, it's a few years later now from the photo novels, and they've done a great job with it. And it is every last bit of the entire movie, all 2.5 hours of it. So the space dock sequence, which is 20 minutes, is cut down to a page and a bit. There we are. So you've got 3 pages for the space dock bit with Scotty, which is a great bit of the film, but it does go on forever. But they are really cool, as you can see. It's brilliant. I think this is quite scarce, in really nice condition. This is a really nice, sharp copy. It's probably never been read properly right the way through. I've had a couple through my hands, and this was the best one, which is the reason I kept it. Now, it hasn't got any of the fun of the 70s ones. There's no introduction, there's no sort of quiz, but it is just the full book, and they did a very good job of it indeed. And it must have done all right, because 2 years later, well, almost 3 years later, the very last Star Trek photo novel came out, and they did it for the Wrath of Khan. Amazing. Still pocket books, very similar format, but there is one awful side to this book. It's sadly in black and white. So it's a shame, because the first one for the motion picture is so good, that just a couple of years later, why did they bother doing this in black and white? I just don't understand. There was already the movie adaptation in paperback hand, and they were making of Star Trek. There was lots of other illustrated Star Trek books, the Star Trek 2 books, but for some reason, even though this would have been phenomenal in colour, they did it just in black and white. It must have been just down to the price. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall there, the person who made that decision, because it really does, in effect, ruin it when you think what it could have been. But there we are. That is the Star Trek photo novel story, and certainly there's some fantastic stuff in there, which I'm sure you'll agree is quite a bit of historic and nostalgic fun. It's not every day you see these anymore, but it was certainly a time when, well, that was the only way you could really enjoy a bit of classic Star Trek, was through these amazing, fantastic photo novels. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that look at the Star Trek photo novels. They certainly are a key part of the Star Trek book story, and I absolutely love them. I've got lots more Star Trek videos lined up, so do look out for them quite soon. If you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it the thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing if you've not already, for loads more vintage paperback content and lots more Star Trek content planned. And I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.